Hey guys, and welcome back to Brains Are Beautiful. In today's episode, we have logarithms part 2. Dun dun dun. But seriously, so if you missed my first video, or if you're kind of hazy on what logarithms are, or don't really remember them, go check it out, Intro to Logarithms, and it kind of breaks you in gently. So for this video, we're going to just briefly look at the graph of a logarithm, and then explore some of the rules that allow us to do math with logarithms. And so this is kind of the part 2 to logarithms. So if you missed the first part, go back and then come back to this one. But we're going to start off with just briefly looking at the graph. So let's say we have, here's the x-axis, here's the y-axis, and we have some coordinates here. So the graph of a logarithm, let's just say we're graphing y equals log of x. And remember, we're assuming this is base 10, although graph kind of doesn't matter since we're generalizing, but the graph of the logarithm will always pass through the point 1, 0, and then it has some asymptotic behavior where it kind of goes like so, and then it has some asymptotic behavior where it gets infinitely close to the y-axis at infinity. And then let me just label this point for you, so that's 1, 0. So that is the graph of log x, just so we have that to reference in the future. And now while we're kind of on this, I want to talk about two main rules that sometimes are forgotten about, but are really, really important and will come back sometimes to haunt you, so just figure get them out of the way. We have log of 1 and we have log of 0. So the first one, the log of 1, it might be a little bit apparent, but the log of 1 is 0, that's the answer, and we can actually figure this out because if you remember in the last video, just as a refresher, that we said the log base a of x equals b, and we said a raised to the b equals the x. So we kind of just did that. And so you could actually say, since we're assuming this is base 10, that 10 raised to the 0 equals 1. And so, obviously the answer is 0. For the next one, though, it's a little bit more confusing. Log of 0 is actually undefined. And this one takes a little bit more of thought to understand. Basically, it has to do with over here and how the log really actually never reaches this value over here of x equals 0 anywhere. So that's why it's undefined. If you just kind of memorize those values, I find it's pretty straightforward. And so now we're going to go on to our rules of logarithms, or product rule, quotient rule, power rule, and they basically let us do math with logarithms and simplify them. So we're going to start with the product rule. And basically what the product rule says is the general formula is log of x plus log of y, and that equals log of x times y. Okay, so let's do an example. Let's say we have log of 2, and we're adding to that log of 4. Then we could actually simplify this down, and we can say that that equals the log of 2 times 4, which equals the log of 8. So that is your product rule. And now moving on, we're going to go to the quotient rule. And so let me write that for you. So the quotient rule says log of x minus the log of y, and that is actually equal to the log of x divided by y. And basically you're probably wondering, well, we're adding and subtracting, and why quotient and product? Well, actually, when we're talking about quotient and product, we're talking about over here on this side of the equation, we're adding or multiplying and dividing inside of those log parentheses. And so let me do an example of this quotient rule. So we have, let's say, the log of 14 minus the log of 7. And that means we could say that that equals the log of 14 divided by 7, which equals the log of 2. All right. And moving right along, our next major rule is what's called the power rule. And actually, if you've listened to other videos, you've probably, in the Intro to Log video, you heard me kind of segue into this briefly, but we're going to explain it here. So the power rule says that the log of x raised to the y equals y times the log of x. Okay, so let's do an example. And let's say our example says the log of 100 squared. So what this means is we can actually take that 2 and put it down here. So we could say that 2 times the log of 100. And so we, just as a refresher, log base 10. And so we know that we still bring that 2 down, and we know that 10 squared equals 100. So this part is actually equal to 2. And so we have 2 times 2, which equals 4. So that one simplified way down. And then I actually want to do a second example of this. And the reason is because of, like I said earlier, I mentioned the power rule in the intro video and said to, once you understood the intro video, to come to this video so I could show you the power rule and how it actually works in explanation with that one problem I did. And so the problem I did, I believe, said the ln of e raised to the 4.5. And I think I gave some kind of hand-wavy explanation and basically said, well, since this is base e, we could cross this essentially out. So how that cancellation actually works is because of the power rule. And so the power rule says that we can bring this down in front. So that means we're given 4.5 times the ln of e. And we know this is base e. And we know that e to the first equals e. So therefore, this entire thing is actually 1. And that's how we were able to just basically jump straight to the conclusion that it equaled 4.5. So those are our main rules. I did want to do one more example really quick. It has a little bit to do with the quotient rule, but basically I just wanted to go over it because it's something you might see on assignments, so you probably will see on assignments, and I want to help you guys as much as I can. And so let's say we're going to start off a little easy and get harder. Log base 2 of, let's say, 8 equals question mark. Okay, so this is looking kind of familiar to what we did in the first video. So we could say that 2 to the question mark, that is supposed to be a question mark, equals 8. So then we would be able to then say that, well, we know that 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8, so the question mark is 3, because 2 to the third equals 8. Okay, well, we know that, and so that's good. But what if we were given something harder, like log base 2 of maybe 6 equals question mark? Well, there isn't any like whole number version that gives us 6. So it kind of looks like we're stuck. Or are we? We can actually kind of apply, I don't know if it's really considered the quotient rule, but the cool rule. We'll say that's the cool rule. And it's log of 6, and basically you just put a division bar and make it divided by the log of 2. So if I was just to do this, I could literally just kind of divide it like that and put an extra log. That's all I did. So yeah, and then you can type this into your calculator, just the log of 6 divided by log 2, and make sure, again, you are using that log function for this, not the ln function. The ln is that natural log we talked about. And you get a number. I actually haven't done this calculation, but I can really quick. You should get approximately 2.58. And that is the answer to that. And so I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you in your studies. I know logarithms can be beyond frustrating when you are first starting to try to learn them and grasp them. There's so much going on. That problem we talked about zoomed in a little bit closer. I want you all to know that all the rules we talked about today do come back in future math classes, both pre-calculus, trig, as well as in all the calculuses and in any sort of STEM science field you might go into. So these rules are really important. I hope this video helped you. If it helped you, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below in the comments. Thanks everyone for watching, and remember, brains are beautiful.